Okay.
Getting close as quick as the technology is ready. We will begin. Are we ready? And I hear sound. We have cameras? Okay. I have 3 additional cards,
We have more than 3.
4, 5, 6 additional cards. I'd like to call Bob Price. Bob Price back in the room?
Watch. Do you want me to leave you time for you?
Yeah. Bob Price. Okay. Claire Whitlow.
He just got here.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I thank God I live in a country that we can speak our piece without getting shot for it. And I'm here to express my opinion as an Osceola County resident of Florida, and I have several of my children that are in public education in the state. And I have spent quite a bit of time studying the history of our country. I'm involved with the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, and I believe that our ancestors and founding fathers used the Bible as their reading material when they learned how to read and write. And I have no opposition with espousing evolution, but I don't want to see it as the only thing mentioned, because I quote the Bible, eyes have not seen, nor ears have heard, nor has it entered the heart of man the things God has in store for those that love him. And I believe our country is evidence of that fact. As we have espoused that love, he has revealed things. And science is an incredible revelation, and the scientist itself has evolved from where they said it was a flat world to we realize it's a round world. That is an evolving thing. Science is. But I'm concerned about the young people in our country who are taught values at their home, and then when they go to school, they're not going to be able to pass the ETCAT because they don't espouse evolution. Or what kind of rebellion is that going to sow in their home when the father says you have to believe this, but my teacher says I have to believe this or I can't pass the test? And how many of those young people are going to be denied an education, further education, because they couldn't pass the FCAT? I think that's a mistake. I don't think we need to impose that kind of thing on our young people, and I think we need to allow an open forum for them to make a decision and not slot it into, you have to believe this.
Very good. Thank you very much. Keith Camp.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
I have a prepared script which I'll give all of y'all a copy of after I finish the reading.
Very good.
To the Florida State Board of Education officers, I want to thank you and all your esteemed colleagues who participated in the production of the proposed revision of Florida's science standards for the students of our Sunshine State. Your commitment to par excellence for our students to learn and compete in the field of science, nationally and internationally, is quite transparent in your recent finished product. In my reading of it, it has given me a greater appreciation of the monumental task delegated to you for the education of our present and future citizenry. Also, my reading of your present product proves the skills to successfully implement said standards are present. I also want to thank you for this opportunity to address to you my comments, observations, and even a recommendation or two concerning your proposed revision of Florida's science standards. In the present proposed science standards, there are many succinct statements about the field of science contained in your, quote, big idea, unquote, categories, for which I am especially thankful. For example, I will identify 2. The first example is found on page 29, grade 3, big idea, the role of theories, laws, hypotheses, and models. And there it reads, the terms that describe examples of scientific knowledge, for example, theory, law, hypothesis, and model, has specific meanings and functions within science. Thankfully, that statement is repeated for succeeding grades 4 and 6 through 12. My second example is located on page 35, grade 4, big idea, section C. There it is acknowledged, quote, because science is based on empirical evidence, it strives for objectivity. But as is it as a human endeavor, the processes, methods, and knowledge of science include subjectivity, as well as creativity and discovery," unquote. Again, I greatly appreciate that admission, and two, grateful that it is repeated for each succeeding grades, 5 through 12. Now, I have singled out these two statements because, in my opinion, they are essential to the correct utilization of the scientific method, which also is continually emphasized from grades K to 12 in your proposed science standards. Unfortunately, these two-sided statements do not appear to be either remembered or acknowledged in the big idea and benchmark statements concerning the subject of evolution, that is, macroevolution, beginning in grade 6 and continuing on through grade 12. For example, on page 89 it reads, Standard 15, Section A, "Evolution is the fundamental concept underlying of all biology and is supported by multiple forms of scientific evidence." And benchmark code SC 912L15, number 1, "Explain how evolution is supported by the fossil record, comparative anatomy."
You have one more minute. One more minute.
One more minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Molecular biology and observed evolutionary change. In my judgment, such affirmations and directives close the door to the discussion of credible dissenting views, objections, and observations about evolution and affirmed forms of evidence. And see the attached quotes, which I have with the script here. Allow me to illustrate with these three quotations from noted and esteemed evolutionists. Harvard Professor of Biology Emeritus Nobel Laureate Dr. George Wald, writing about origins, said, "We tell the story of Pasteur's experiments to beginning students of biology as though it represents a triumph of reason over mysticism. In fact, it is very near the opposite. The reasonable view was to believe in spontaneous generation, the only alternative to believe in a single primary act of supernatural creation. There is no third position. Most modern biologists have reviewed with satisfaction the downfall of the spontaneous generation hypothesis, yet unwilling to
You're at the
accept."
3-minute mark.
Am I?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We would be happy to take that
Yes.
document. We'll get it out to the state board as well. Thank you very much. Max Jackson?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for hearing my comments. I represent the Campus Free Thought Alliance UCF chapter, as well as three of my compatriots back there. We are a group of, basically what we do is we apply critical thought and empirical reason to matters, as our president would put it, that you would not discuss at the dinner table. And as such, we can appreciate the challenge that it is to be teaching as science kind of goes into issues that are very sensitive. People have very strong emotional connections that what they've been taught is true and stuff like that. But basically, we applaud the current science standards that you have set because we feel that it is our job as humanity tries to progress through our knowledge of science to teach our most current understanding of what we see around us in the world today. And if that is evolution, that's good. If that's gravity, that's good. Evolution, teaching it as, I also acknowledge that you are not teaching it as fact. All you are doing is merely presenting the evidence for that. I acknowledge that you are not teaching this as, incontrovertible truth, merely a theory for which there is strong support. And I also acknowledge that showing support for the theory does not necessarily condone, ignoring controversy and evidence against evolution and stuff like that. Therefore, basically all I'd like to say is we really appreciate what you're doing. We understand that it's very hard to approach these issues with sensitivity, but you all are doing a very good job, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Lisa, Federowitz?
Hi, good afternoon. I know my colleagues and I all came through the Florida school system, and I just wanted to say that I had a great experience coming through the school system, and it's made me the person I am today. And one of the things I wanted to thank you for is concentrating on the sciences, concentrating on what is observable, concentrating on what is repeatable, what is empirically accurate. And I know that I've gotten a great basis in the science all through my high school career, all through elementary school, middle school, and that really prepared me to be successful in college. And what I think is most important that students continue to learn in school are things that are going to prepare them to be successful in college, to be successful in the real world. And that's scientific fact, scientific theory, scientific evidence, stating within the facts is going to help the students in all parts of their lives. It's really prepared me for my major in sociology, social sciences, and the evolution of culture. It's helped me a lot. And I just wanted to say thank you for concentrating on the facts and keeping it at the facts. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Danielle Winstead?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I, as well as I suppose I'm going to be echoing the sentiments that were previously stated. I came through high school of public education up in Jacksonville, Florida, and while I was there, during the sciences, specifically biology, physics, and the like, there was a lot of bias towards the evolution ideologies and theories, in which the teachers, being that Jacksonville is slightly a highly conservative town, putting it very lightly, were fairly afraid of the PTA and other organizations to even present evolution as a theory. And a lot of our projects that we had to do concerning evolution were going out into the public and going to religious institutions and our parents and seeing what they thought, and then from there drawing a conclusion. And I was looking through the revised Sunshine State Standards for Science, and I must say that I am fairly impressed with the sensitivity that you have approached this topic, and understanding that science itself is supposed to be an objective field. It's an empirical field, one that can be tested repeatedly, and one in which you can really grasp the current understanding. And with theories outstanding outside of evolution, such as intelligent design and creationism, unfortunately those are not empirical. And I do believe that the current updates of the Sunshine State Standards for Science do approach the teaching of objective science as opposed to theoretical science. And as such, I do thank you for making these changes and allowing for there to be more empirical science and less of the subjective thoughts of a professor or a teacher. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Benjamin Douglas?
As an educator in Florida, I teach computer science at the university. I just would like to applaud the board on its emphasis on evolution in these latest standards. It's not readily apparent that evolution plays such a big role in the sciences, but evolution does in fact play a huge role in sciences where it might not be readily apparent that it would be useful. For example, in computer science, one of the most powerful programming techniques is based on evolution. So the teaching of evolution helps develop a strong grasp of helps all students in technology, biology, and all other areas. So I'd just like to applaud you on your support of evolution.
Thank you very much. Jackie Vanstelet?
I wrote this out because I'm not too good at speaking off the cuff, but it says what I want to say. It takes 3.5 minutes to 3 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm here today because to teach theory as fact flies against man's unalienable right to free choice, as defended in the original Declaration of Independence by the Congress of July 4th, 1776. This article was written under the laws of nature and nature's God. It ends with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence to see this declaration succeed. To rob school children of this right of choice is unforgivable, whether in the instance of the birth of mankind or in what way they shall earn their living. Underlying the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness guaranteed in the Constitution is the freedom of choice as to how the individual will pursue those freedoms. In mandating only one choice, as in the teaching of the theory of evolution as fact, we strangle humankind's innate reasoning powers, logic, and common sense to figure out the individual's right to decide for themselves which is the route they wish to follow. I am as much against the teaching of creationism or intelligent design as the only choice allowed as I am against the law mandating evolution as the only choice available to the fertile minds of the young. My reason for coming here today, as I said, is before this theory to fact issue becomes law, I'd like answers to these two questions. First, in the theory of evolution, DNA does all sorts of acrobatics wherein one species somehow develop into another over a period of time through so-called natural selection. While on the other hand, that same somersaulting DNA is now accepted as uncontroversial proof of guilt or innocence in a court of law. How can the foolproof DNA of our court system be so completely different from the flip-flopping DNA of the theory of evolution? You can't have it both ways. Secondly, common sense, which would be wiped away by denying the freedom of choice this law is designed to do.
You have 1 minute left.
Pardon?
1 minute left.
Oh, okay. Where am I? That's designed to do.
It tells me that the Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Will be the next law touted as scientific and says I must accept this fact that this wonderful universe and everything in it was the result of some mindless explosion in the unseeable distant past. Yet if I were to tell you the dictionary was the result of an explosion in a printing factory, you'd mark me as a candidate for the funny farm. Am I then to believe that the complexities of something so simple as a blade of grass, which science with all its learning can't duplicate without an original seed, is mindless, when my innate reasoning abilities tell me that when I smell a cake baking, I know there's a baker somewhere? And when I see a skyscraper, I know an architect has been at work, yet science is working harder every day to prove such is not so. Science works on the assumption of 5 sensory observations, meaning if it can't be felt, seen, heard, smelled,
Can you wrap it up now?
That it?
Can you wrap it up?
Yeah, I've got one more sentence. Okay. Tasted, it either doesn't exist or isn't important enough to bother with. That eliminates emotions and the very life force itself, along with human qualities not scientifically provable. Please consider your actions carefully before passing this into law, which may lead us irretrievably back into the dark ages. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Rose McLean.
Hello, I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Sherry McLean. Charles Darwin stated in The Origin of Species, if it could be demonstrated that any complex origin existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. Advances like the electron microscope have allowed scientists to discover and study in detail many such complex systems in living things. Michael Behe, a biochemist at Lehigh University, has coined the term irreducible complexity in describing these systems. His book, Darwin's Black Box and the Edge of Evolution, claimed that Darwinism evolution is not adequate to account for these systems. The question of how these life forms in the most simple state could have mutated without the complex motor mechanisms necessary for their existence must be addressed. In science, as in other areas, new ideas that challenge accepted beliefs are vigorously opposed. This is quite normal, but if the new ideas have merit, they will eventually be heard and accepted. Darwin's theory of evolution is not sacred or cast in stone. It should be open to challenge and modification as much as any other currently accepted ideas. It is not our job as educators to prohibit or deny such challenges. If there are controversies in science, we should acknowledge their existence and let arguments and evidence lead us to the truth.
1 minute left.
It is not surprising that challenges to accept ideas are met with vigorous resistance. There are many mathematicians and scientists and historical records that have been persecuted and ridiculed for their discovery of scientific facts that are accepted as truths today. The discovery of irrational numbers was just one such account. People, include scientists, feel more comfortable with knowledge that they have acquired while receiving their formal education. They resist change to such knowledge, as was such the case with some of my University of Florida professors who berated the use of graphic calculators in the study of calculus. They were not familiar with this technology, so they chose to ignore its existence and criticize its use. Students have a right to know all information. It is incorrect to ignore challenges to evolution because some scientists are uncomfortable with the implications that arise. Anything less than full disclosure of the knowledge of the concept reeks of dogma and brainwashing. As a public school teacher, I am concerned with the integrity of the material we present. There are some very respectable and intelligent scientists that are challenging evolution as a theory with many
You wrap it up,
problems.
please.
Our students have the right to know about these, and we have the duty to tell them.
Thank you very much. Finally, again, Bob Price.
Thank you for the chance to speak. I've just come before you as a business guy. I've been in the computer information processing industry for about 35 years. Still have to carry paper. But it has been impressive to me that even going back before Microsoft, when the operating system was part of Xerox, which really doesn't matter very much, but the complexity in the process, the development, the changes, the increased capacity, all of this type of stuff that has occurred using not just Bill Gates, but the thousands of people who go back from the discovery of electricity and all of this sort of stuff. All these intelligent people, intelligent efforts have gone for years to come up with a silly smartphone that only works about 2/3 of the time. And to think that that there is not an intelligent that is undescribable responsible for pulling all this together, I think of that every time my computer locks up. If Bill Gates was in charge of creation, we would be all locked up, standing around looking at each other. So the fact that there has to be an intelligent creator designed to put all this stuff together and to keep it going, even the bacteria is more successful than Microsoft. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's the end of the blue cards. Again, we're going to continue to be here until 3:30. But again, thank you all very much for attending today. Thank you. Three-minute limit for speaking. That puts us at the moment to adjourn this public hearing. I want to, on behalf of the State Board of Education, I want to thank all of those that have attended and presented. To those few that remain, thank you very much for hanging in here till the bitter end. And to all of those that might be viewing, hopefully this has been an informative public hearing, and look forward to, appreciate your attendance as well. And at this moment, the public hearing stands adjourned. Thank you very much.